Mantelpiece, it's Leanne and I'm here today with my January wrap-up and my January DNF. Potato. So you'll probably all have noticed that in January I went into hibernation. This is what I do every January, and the good thing about it this time around is that it made January a very, very good reading month. In January I read 3 novels, 1 poetry collection, 1 memoir, 1 novella and 1 pamphlet-y thing. And I also DNF'd something. Interesting. So the first book that I read this year was this one. This is My Sister Lives on the Mantelpiece by Annabelle Pitcher, and it was gifted to me by Claire at the Book Fox, probably to tear my heart out, 1 string at a time. So thanks for that, Claire. Might have warned me about the sobbing messiness. I am torn between doing a spoilery review of this one and not saying anything about it, because I think it really is best to go into this book completely blind. But this book is about Jamie, who is a 10-year-old boy who is trying desperately to find his way in a world which now only consists of half of his family, one half of his family who display dysfunctionality that might get them onto Maury or, Jerry Springer. It's not great. It's not great. And his sister lives on the mantelpiece in an urn because she is dead. And the fact that we know this at the beginning changes everything. Seriously, I absolutely loved this novel. There is a part later on in it which had me sobbing like a baby. Here's an impression of me. Then I I wish I was joking, but because this was actually our first read aloud of the year too, I'm not. That's exactly what I looked like. Apparently it was a month for read aloud books too, because I ended up reading this one aloud, which was a complete accident. This is Hold Your Own by Kate Tempest, which was my 1 poetry collection for the month. I haven't read a poetry collection in a very long time. In fact, I don't think I've actually read a poetry collection since I studied poetry in university, which was about 4 years ago now. So yeah, it was overdue. I'm really tempted to call this a minion break. Kate Tempest, for those of you who do not know, is a spoken word poet. She performs her poetry on stage, and this was amazing. And I think that's actually how I ended up reading it out loud. I think I was like, Helen, you must listen to this poem, and then somehow I ended up reading the whole bloody book. Here is a sample. The sample has an expletive in it. If you do not want to hear expletives, skip couple of minutes long. Fuck the poem. I haven't written in ages because I'd rather stare at you than stare at pages. But what would be great is making a poem that could be half as courageous as you when you're naked. I tried for a minute. Your love is my mental, your kisses my rivets. You are like the ocean beneath the slick of a spillage. Fuck the poem. There's a bed here and you want me in it. I actually picked up this one because Antigone is one of my favourite plays, and of course Antigone features the myth of the blind prophet Tiresias, and this is actually a retelling of the blind prophet Tiresias. Believe me when I say that you need to know nothing about Greek myth or Tiresias to actually enjoy this volume. Each of the poems can be taken as a standalone, but as an overall arc it works really, really well. I loved it. I was particularly enjoying the play with gender and the play with sexuality, and definitely check this out. And then if you like it, Kate Tempest's debut novel is coming out this year, so that's something to look forward to. The next book that I finished in January was this novella. This is The Ice Dragon by George R.R. Martin. So The Ice Dragon basically is based on a children's fairy story which probably would have been told in, the early times of A Song of Ice and Fire. It is a very heavy-fisted novel about a little girl who I think either her mum died during her childbirth or shortly thereafter, and she thinks her father doesn't love her as much, and her father can't really look at her because of course he thinks of her mother. And she meets an ice dragon and pulls slowly away from her family, and then shit happens and she realizes the meaning of family. That's pretty much it. And it was okay, I guess. I didn't really see the point of it. Again, as I say, it was very heavy, ham-fisted. It was very in your face. It was evident right from the beginning exactly what was going to happen. It was too long, which is nuts because it's a tiny, tiny little novella. The one thing that I will say that I really, really loved about this, and the reason that I gave it 3 stars instead of 2 stars, is that Luis Royo's illustrations are absolutely amazing. All of the chapter headings have this beautiful detail, and all of the illustrations are done in this sort of blue tone, and they're really quite special. So yeah, I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars. So yeah, as I said, I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars, saved largely by the illustrations, and I don't feel as if it was really a necessary addition to the universe, or as if it stood strongly enough on its own. So I don't know, if you're a really big fan of A Song of Ice and Fire, or if you're a really big fan of dragons and you like the illustration style, then maybe pick this up. But otherwise, get it from the library or give it a miss.